I'm never prepared for the experience of standing in front of it. It's almost like this cliff face of colour and texture. So I'm here to talk to you about the star lot in our upcoming October evening sale here in London, and it is a magnificent abstract painting by Gerhard Richter. So what strikes you about this painting when you first see it is the colour. The red colour in this painting is luminous, but it's a red which has got so many different variations within it in terms of the movement, the texture, the detail. It's almost like rainfall coming down the canvas. But beyond that, you then see ghosts of other paintings that sit behind it. You've got incredible range of blues and green, and it's the blending of those images. It's almost seeing past different layers of the painting that encourage you to look beyond the immediacy of the bright red veil into the creation of the painting. What you're seeing is a very present moment in which you can see almost the passage of time. Rather than painting in the traditional manner of oil on a brush onto the canvas, he applied the paint onto the squeegee and then applied the paint with this large bar across the surface of the canvas. The effect that this created was completely unprecedented in art history. The strength of those marks on the surface, the effects they have, the way in which the paint is applied in these paintings makes them so unique and powerful. And when you get up close, you can see just the infinite variation in the blending of the different paint colors and the different paint surfaces. So one squeegee layer is then superimposed by countless other layers on top of that. And the movement you get within the paint surface is completely unique to Gerhard Richter's abstract paintings. They're very strong, beautiful, but at the same time quite violent. Aside from the colour, the other most extraordinary presence of this painting is in its scale. It towers above the viewer. It's just one of the most extraordinary paintings we've been fortunate enough to handle here at Sotheby's. You are constantly immersed in a moment of Richter's genius, that process of creation, destruction, positivity, negativity, darkness and light. And it really is a transcendental experience standing in front of a painting like this.
Hello, I'm Katie Whitcomb-Singh and I'm super excited today to be joining you from Sotheby's in London, where we're about to get a sneak peek preview of some of the best contemporary and modern artworks that are about to go into one of their biggest auction moments to date. The Contemporary Evening Sale and Now Evening Sale taking place on the 12th of October, and also the Contemporary Day Auction taking place on the 13th. Coinciding with Frieze, October is a time which sees the global art world descend onto London. And today we're going to be diving into some of the stories and artists behind these paintings in auction as I catch up with Sotheby's art historians and specialists on some of the highlights. We're now joined by specialist Antonia to talk about an Elizabeth Peyton work, David, Victoria and Brooklyn. Thank you so much for joining us, Antonia. So why is this work so important as part of Peyton's practice?
Well, Peyton always takes these subjects, she has this big obsession with idolatry and people's obsession with fame. And she's painted a whole host of different famous people, Prince Harry, Prince William, all the way to David Bowie. And in this painting, we have David and Victoria Beckham. And this was painted right at the peak of their fame in the late 1990s. And you see this extraordinary movement of them. It's caught by the paparazzi. You've got Brooklyn being held by Victoria. And what's also so special about this work is that Peyton usually works on this very jewel-like small scale. She paints these really beautiful, tiny little paintings. But what we have here is a ginormous scale. It's 150 by about 100 centimeters wide. And you really become involved in the scene. With her smaller paintings, you stand as an outsider, whereas here we're kind of very much enveloped into the drama.
It's amazing work in terms of obviously the familiarity of the faces, but they're almost drawn in an art historical context. It could be almost a Madonna and Child. And with Peyton, obviously in her practice, she talks about faces containing their reality, and there's a real specificity in the way that she paints and capturing eras. Can you talk to us about this particular work, how she's done that through her technique?
Yeah, so I think what works so well with this painting is her capture of time. And it's not only using the faces, it's using the hands as well. When you look at the painting, you see Victoria kind of turns away. Neither of the main protagonists are looking at us. And Victoria looks away. She's got this wild look in her eyes and she seems very scared. David, he's got this protective arm around her. And she's seeing, if you look at her hands, she's really grasping the baby. And I think what makes her so specific is at this exact moment in the 1990s, Brooklyn was subject to lots of kidnap threats. So on the one hand, you see this very glitzy paparazzi image, this great celebration of fame. But what's so strong about Peyton is that she really dives to the core of celebrity, and she really kind of exposes often that dark side. And here it's that fear of the kidnap, and it's that kind of duality that I think makes her such a successful work.
Definitely, and it feels like she's constantly having a dynamic conversation with the viewer, even though the subjects are often looking away. And obviously this year is such a big one with portraiture in London, with the National Portrait Gallery and its transformation project. So why is this work so important to take note of as part of a wider collection?
On one hand, it's very classical, the way that she builds with the paint, and it's this gorgeous kind of almost looks like tempera in the way that she uses the actual paint and builds up these gorgeous surfaces in it. But at the same time, it's so contemporary. She paints these very contemporary subjects, and they're always just utterly kind of snapshots of a moment in time, which I think just makes her so special to
and her process is quick, isn't it? She creates work very quickly.
Yes, and there's very lucid, very, very thin layers that she's building up, and it creates this extraordinary transparency and colour. There's a real vividness, especially to these early 1990s works. There's such a strong colour, and as you can see that, in David's shirt, in the glorious tan of Simon Fuller, that you don't see so much in her later works.
So we now come to Six Birds in the Bush, one of Lynette Yadambrachi's incredible works, which was seen in her Tate retrospective. So Antonia, I'm really excited to talk to you about this work. It's one of my favourites. And why is it so characteristic of Lynette's work?
The subjects that she paints aren't actually of anyone in particular. She creates these scrapbooks of different images that she collects from newspapers, photographs, she does some sketches, builds them all up together, and then she creates these figures herself in her memory. And they're all done within one day. So she does these extraordinary expressive flurries of brushstrokes to create a final painting. But it's of no one in particular. And that's, I think, what makes them so special.
And although it's a very contemporary work, she's obviously using this play on art historical references that we can see in some of the details of the works. Can you talk us through some of those details?
Yeah, so I think this one is a particularly art historical work, and it really kind of has that extraordinary regal, almost resonance to it. You've got the figure, he's kind of turned half to his side, And it kind of really feels like one of those Dutch old masters, you know, people like Rembrandt, and it's got a great weight and this kind of great sense of power. And you've got this gorgeous big purple plume that comes out of his hat that really,
it's almost regal, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. And again, with the purple, that kind of royal connotation. And likewise, Lynette's kind of posited herself almost at an angle to that art history that we're just talking about by, you know, only painting black subjects. And she's a black artist herself. And so it's kind of taking that history and reinterpreting it for the modern day.
And she's not just a painter. She talks about this idea of I paint what I cannot write and I write what I cannot paint. Yeah. So why is the title so significant?
What a lot of people don't realise is that she's also a writer and she writes poetry and things like that. And it kind of really adds a sense to her painting. So what she, you know, it could almost be seen as an additional brushstroke, you know, on top of the work, where you've got the ambiguity of the subject and we don't know, you know, who they are because they're entirely imaginary, and every viewer who comes to see the painting adds their own conclusions, their own opinions to the painting.
The painting is so commanding. It really forces us, like a Manet or a Degas, to really be looking and seeing continually. So understandably, Lynette's Yadam Boakye's work has had universal recognition. It's been shown all over the world. She had her retrospective that was famously paused and then restarted because of COVID. But why do you feel she's such a significant artist?
For me, she's just completely reinterpreted the portraiture canon. To be able to speak to both of these times, you know, it's so contemporary, yet so rooted in art history. I think what's so special about this work is the extraordinary gaze of the central figure. He's got this bright whites in his eyes, and I think that's where she really, really comes into her own and really vivifying something that was never even really alive to begin with. And I think that's really what makes it so special.
Yeah, it's an incredible work, truly capturing the essence of humanity.
Yeah.
We now come to the work of one of the most prolific painters of our time, Cecily Brown, also known as the Alchemist of Paint. We're going to be discussing her work that's coming up in auction, Tricky, with Tom. Thank you so much for joining us, Tom.
Pleasure.
So talk to us about this work. It's energetic, it's explosive. How is it characteristic of Brown?
I think what you see in Cecily's work and what's really emblematic of what we're selling, Tricky from 2001, is decades worth of the investigation of painting. I think Cecily's work is really rooted in the grand tradition of Western art and painting, and she really sits at the vanguard of contemporary painting today. I think she's been well known for talking about the relevance and the inspiration behind many of her paintings that are indeed rooted in painters past, you know, going all the way back from the Baroque period, old masters, through to modern day greats. One can only think of, you know, Rubens, de Kooning. You have this horizon line, but you almost see the figures emerging up. One thinks of past paintings like Géricault's Raft of the Medusa, or even Delacroix's Liberty Leading the People. And that's really of no coincidence, because she's so rooted in the tradition of painting in Western art.
And we see that in Tricky, don't we? These elements of Krasner mixed with Cézanne and this kind of explosive movement, which is only characteristic of Brown's work. What would you say in terms of her style? She's often been known to be kind of hard to categorise. Why is that?
You have this explosion and arresting nature in her paintings. You have this rich tapestry of paint and painting. You know, it's often referred, her works blur the lines between figuration and abstraction. And I think that's what you see here. Her works stop you in your tracks and ensure that you are pulled into the painting, investigating. I think we as a viewer are caught in that liminal space between figuration and abstraction. Nothing is obvious, but it makes you investigate. You see little glimpses here between figuration, landscape. It makes you work and makes you investigate. And I think that's what is so captivating about her work.
And institutionally, she's obviously been well regarded. She's had an incredible number of shows, but she's got quite a significant one in New York, and she obviously moved there a long time ago. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, exactly. She's currently on view at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, a huge accolade for any painter. It's afforded an opportunity that, you know, not many living artists get. I think Lucian Freud was the last British painter to have that. And I think what's so fantastic and resolute about Cecily's work is when you think about when she started painting, she came out of the Slade School in London in the early 1990s and really was a painter at a time where painting and paintbrushes weren't really in vogue. If you think about the YBAs, Damien Hirst, Sarah Lucas, much more conceptual, but she was very resolute in being a painter. And I think for her work, the medium of paint and painting is really the only method in which can really imbue the subject matter with such relevance and arresting nature.
And this work really is arresting in its nature.
Yeah.
So we now come to one of the greatest painters of the 20th century, someone who was able to capture the very essence of what it is to be human, Francis Bacon. So Tom, talk to us about the work that you have coming up in auction.
We have this incredible painting, Study for Portrait from 1979, in this iconic 14 by 12 inch single canvas, which really stood as the sort of central tenet for much of his work from the 1960s onwards. And it was really the canvas, the platform in which he forged his most significant investigations into the human condition.
So this was painted in 1979, which was quite a significant period for the artist in his life. What was happening at that period in time?
It's rather late in his career, but I think if we go back to where it began and where these investigations of these single panels started in the early 1960s, we really get to where he was. So in the early 1960s, he was forging these very intense, small-scale canvases of people around him, the people he knew. The great coterie of sitters that were part of his sort of Soho set. One thinks of Lucian Freud, Muriel Belcher, Isabel Rawsthorne, and of course his lover, George Dyer. And one thinks of these paintings in that period as very emotional, very intense, often violent, not least the sort of ones of George Dyer. And then a really significant event happened in 1971. He was on the eve of his great retrospective at the Grand Palais in Paris, and George Dyer, his lover, tragically committed suicide. This hugely tumultuous event at his greatest critical moment. That forged a new turn in his career in the 1970s and what he was painting. He famously said, "I'm just painting myself. Everyone I know is dying around me." And what you see is this period of 20-odd self-portraits from the 1970s onwards, this period of self-reflection. It was him looking at himself as he was aging, so to speak.
And we know, don't we, that another figure of significance came into his life around that time, who possibly is the subject of this portrait.
Yeah, so you have that turning point. And part of that, he moved to Paris. He was a great Francophile. And he met John Edwards, another character from the East End of London, much younger than him, and formed this great friendship. And I think that, coupled with his move to France, you see a new direction, a shift in his work, certainly in terms of the palette, which we see here. It's much softer, these pale blues, cadmium reds, pinks, oranges. It's much more indicative of, one thinks of Edgar Degas pastels. It's softer in this French style. Coupled with, this new meeting of John Edwards, this youthful character in his life, he's probably, sick of painting himself as he aged. That Jean Cocteau quote of "Every day I watch death at work in the mirror" was no truer than Bacon in his sort of sardonic way. But this relationship of youth, you see it here, you see a much more youthful character on the canvas. Whilst it's not overtly named as John Edwards, the iterations are almost definitely of him: the white crisp shirt collar, the youthful face, the dark hair, and it forged a new period of work from there on out.
Yeah, it's a work that really draws you in, and definitely an artist that's one of my favourite in the sales. So thank you for talking us through.
Pleasure.
So I'm here with specialist Lisa, who's going to talk us through some of the highlights from the Contemporary Day Sale. And we're going to kick off with Nicole Eisenman. So Lisa, talk to us a little bit about this work.
This is a fantastic painting by Nicole Eisenman called Support Systems for Women. It's painted in 1998 and really showcases so much of what Nicole Eisenman is doing in her oeuvre. She's someone who has an absolute commitment to interrogating contemporary issues and critiquing current affairs and political questions in a really kind of characteristically witty manner. And this specific painting is a little bit of a pastiche on many different things. So we see this fantastic kind of odalisque figure, this large nude, which is very reminiscent of art historically very, very well-known painting by Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, his Grand Odalisque, which has the same figure, the same format. And what Nicole Eisenman has done is taken this subject matter, the trope of the female nude, and brought it into contemporary discourse by kind of jokingly putting this quite haphazard, if you look at it, wooden structure, which doesn't really look like it could support anything, let alone this really quite grand figure.
A lot of her work seems to comment on political structures, on structures around female discourse, and that seems to obviously touch on some of her personal experiences that influence this work as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So her personal experience, starting off as a painter in the 1990s, as a lesbian painter in New York, and really actually kind of started to become quite successful quite quickly. In 1995, her work was featured in the Whitney Biennial. And then this painting comes in 1998, looking at the structure, the support, the institutional support that a woman might need or might sort of have imposed upon her. Actually, if you look at this painting, she's standing on her own 2 feet, and this structure is maybe not supporting her as much as you might think. She then actually, early in the 2000s, starts to do a body of work which looks at the idea of success and what would mean if your success starts to decline. So she's obviously very engaged with her own identity as an artist as well.
And she's also an artist that not only paints but makes incredible sculpture. And this work preceded the start of some of those sculptures which were informed by some of these so-called structures.
Yeah, and actually as a painter, she has spoken a lot about how important she feels sculpture is to painting. So she says actually, in order to be a good painter, you need to be able to sculpt or understand sculpture. And here we actually have a painting that's kind of doing both.
So Lisa, we're now going to be talking about another work that was made just 1 year later in 1999 from Marlene Dumas.
This is a fantastic painting called Sea Love, where she presents us with this very striking figure of the female nude.
Dumas obviously has a South African background and continually plays on these images around identity. And here she's actually reclaiming the female nude. Why is that so relevant and important in this work?
So actually, Marlene Dumas speaks about how she paints images and not people. And that's very important when you look at her practice and what she's doing in the source material that she's using. So she takes so many different sources from magazines, newspapers, photographs, and actually even takes her own Polaroids from which she works, and then uses her incredible ability as a colorist to take these images and turn them into these fantastic compositions. In this work, for example, we are presented with this slightly blurred but very clear figure of the female nude. Around this time, so this is painted in 1999, and this is around the time that she's working with this Dutch filmmaker called Anton Corbijn, and they went to Amsterdam and roamed the red light district and were using Polaroid images of strippers, and that's the stripper series. So you can see how she's engaging firsthand to make her own source material for certain works.
So photography as source material and inspiration often touches Dumas' work, but this work as well is quite significant in the tonality and in the process. Could you explain a little more about that?
As one of the most prominent painters painting today, she's known to be this master colorist. So she's working wet on wet. So she's applying different hues, different colors that she allows to wash and blur into one another, creating a very, very light impasto. And it's this that's so iconic in her work and very recognizable. And through that, you have these layers of red, blue, black that kind of merge together to present this persona, but also sort of blur the image between a real likeness that you see in the photography and a painterly depiction of angst and feelings.
So Dumas often looks at raw emotions and pushes us to places that can be quite uncomfortable. How does she look to source materials or art historical references?
One of the key points is her use of colour and the way she is this master colourist, but also the idea of angst. So she portrays this real sort of human emotion and commits to that. So if we look at the work of, for example, Edvard Munch, where angst, this sort of existential angst, is such a key part of the work. Or even, looking at the work of Francis Bacon, and her works were hung alongside his in the 90s, actually, before this was painted. And we see, the way in which she's engaging with colour, with this fantastic sort of wet on wet, kind of blurred wash technique, and the way in which both Munch and Bacon, in very different ways, engage with colour to show this angst and this human condition.
So definitely one to check out in the next sales. Thank you so much, Lisa, for your time.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled to be joined now by CELINE, and we're going to be discussing the iconic Canadian-American painter Philip Guston, who for 50 years relentlessly painted turbulent and anxious times that he was experiencing. He explored so many different types of styles. So CELINE, talk to us a little bit about this work. It's called The Canvas, and it's painted in 1970s, the early part of the 70s. Why was this a significant time for Guston?
Yes, so I think these paintings that were painted in the last decade of his life are really interesting and important because that's when he's able to really reflect on his career and he becomes very introspective about his own painting throughout the years. And so in 1970s, he returned to figuration. In the 50s, he had gained a lot of success as an abstract expressionist, but he moved away from that and really shocked everyone in 1970 when he debuted the series of cartoonish figuration in Marlborough exhibition in New York. And our present work is also very interesting because we see this motif of a single eye.
And this eye, of course, is depicting the artist's own eye, and this wall, not just the physical wall potentially of some of, I suppose, some of the resistance that he was feeling, but also potentially a metaphorical one, because we see over the course of decades this shift and turn so much in his styles, don't we? And this new style that is almost, as you mentioned, cartoon-like, wasn't very well received at the time, was it?
No, definitely not. And I think because he was so successful as an abstract expressionist and moving away suddenly to figuration was such a jarring move for such a successful artist at the time. But I think for Guston, he felt that it was a necessary move because he felt that it was only through figuration that he can actually get change and express his belief in a way that wasn't so insular to himself.
Well, he was constantly preoccupied with this idea of politics, of anti-Semitism and other big racial issues of the time. So he was obviously born to an immigrant family and he also was Jewish.
Yeah.
In what ways did his personal upbringing inform how he painted and some of the experiences that he suffered?
We see throughout his career these little motifs that show up from moments of his life, and a lot of them are very traumatic and difficult moments. And in our present work, we can see, as you mentioned, this brick wall, which also reflects back on his first start as an artist when he was a muralist. And actually his first painting the Ku Klux Klansman, became a subject of big protest back in the day as well. And so he was always a very socially engaged artist, and this move back to figuration really, at the end of the day, was about being socially engaged and being able to express his views to the fullest.
And it's almost through the eye he's forcing us to rethink our own perception on some of these issues perhaps as well. And quite rightly, he's earned lots of institutional recognition. And what do you think to be those highlights? And obviously there's something very exciting coming up here in the UK too.
Yes, it's very exciting that his big major retrospective that has traveled all around the US will be opening at Tate Modern, and it's featuring over 150 works that span throughout his career. So I think that'll be really exciting to see everything from beginning to the end.
So I'm now excited that we're going to be talking about Nicole Eisenman's Beer Garden with Big Hand. Why is this work so significant? It's obviously a French-born American painter who's had a lot of profile around her discussions around society, around politics. And this is a body of work that she kicked off in the early 2000s. But why did it attract such attention?
So she started her Beer Garden series in 2007, and it is definitely one of her most well-known and celebrated series of works. People really enjoy looking at it because so much is always happening and there's always so much to look at. And a lot of the beer garden that she paints is based in Brooklyn, which is where she often frequents the beer gardens around. And in our work especially, it's really crowded with so many things happening all at once. On one hand, you see people drinking in groups, having a great time. The other hand, you can see someone just dozing off by themselves. There's also a lost boy wandering around somewhere. And I think that kind of dynamism and also the ability to capture the true essence of the urban fabric.
And she's often witty and subversive, but here we're seeing the artist, well, we believe it's the artist, to be holding, obviously, the beer glass, but at the same time, she was going through, obviously, a personal moment in time, wasn't she?
Yeah, so when she first started the Beer Garden series is also when her partner first became pregnant, and she kind of speaks about her inability to actually socialize in real life and go to these beer gardens really prompted her to start painting them, I guess as a way of escaping and kind of enjoying it vicariously through her artwork.
Well, there's something so energetic and dynamic around the people and the way she's playing with this perspective of this kind of bulbous beer glass as well and looking through new perspectives. What do you think she would want our outtake to be from this work?
I think she would love for us to just honestly spend the time, look closely, and really notice all the really fun and humorous bits that she's put into it, because she is such a funny artist at the end of the day. And there are some very strange things happening there. Someone with their pants down at the same time carrying their baby. And I think just really enjoying and immersing ourselves into the fun and chaotic world that she's painted.
So it's a lesson in looking from Nicole Eisenman. Thank you so much for your time, Tian.
No worries. Thank you so much.
So we now come to one of the greatest painters of our time, and fortunately a painting that we are privileged to sit in front of. So I'm joined by James to discuss Gerhard Richter's Abstract Bild 611. So James, thank you for joining us.
Very welcome.
So this work is extremely significant. It's one of Richter's works that was actually painted in 1986. Why was this year so significant?
So 1986 truly was a breakthrough for Gerhard Richter. It was at that very moment when he abandoned brushes in favour of the squeegee, which was to be his primary pictorial tool from there onwards. And actually the squeegee, unlike the brush, was both a tool of creation and simultaneous destruction.
There's an amazing colour and chaos that comes through. So there's a real physicality, as you touch on with the squeegee, of the actual making. But can you talk us through the process of this type of work?
So Gerhard Richter famously has worked in large, very white studios throughout his career. And unlike a lot of abstract expressionist painters or painters who are really lost in the moment of creating that painting, Richter, by contrast, has had a very methodical process to creating his pictures. So he works in series, so he'll have created this painting alongside other paintings of a similar scale, often 3 or 4 or 5 paintings in the studio at the same time on the wall. So he'll do a mark on one painting, then move on to the next, and so on and so on. So when he comes back round to the painting again, he's looking at it with fresh eyes. And that process allows him to have an objective distance with the paintings he's making.
And what fascinates me about Richter is that he looks at different mediums and starts to bring them together, because he was an incredibly keen photographer, wasn't he? He was bringing that constantly into his work as well.
Richter, as you say, has been a keen photographer throughout his life, and in fact his early works in the 1960s, they were based on photographs or magazine source images. He wanted, again, to remove himself from the process of painting to allow a preconceived image to dictate what he was going to paint. But as a photographer himself, he was fascinated by the depth of colour you get in photographs, also the speed, the process, the infinite variations you can achieve by changing the focus, changing the light source, changing also the development of an image. And for Richter, that's what he was looking to replicate in a way through his abstract paintings. It was about the layering of the images, and when you look up close to the surface of this almost kaleidoscopic painting in terms of the ranges of colours and the movement and the surface, there's just so much going on there. But you can see that almost the ghosts of paintings underneath, each one he's gone successively over.
I think everyone must make the time to come and see this painting over auction week. It's an absolutely astounding work, and especially incredible to see it in person. We now come to the work of one of the foremost minimalist painters, Robert Ryman, and this work, Gate, was created in 1995. So first of all, can you describe the work that we're looking at?
So Gate from 1995 is one of Ryman's great works from the 1990s. What appears to be a calm, very peaceful scene from a distance, up close, the viewer is met with this almost tempestuous surface of infinite depth and movement. There's so much going on in this painting when you're looking at it up close.
And that comes from the materiality, but also this juxtaposition of white with the material. And Ryman was really known for this use of white, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. I mean, Ryman followed a very strict artistic practice whereby he really wanted to explore the inherent mediums and qualities, the inner poetry of the materials he was using. set within the confines of square format canvases or works of art, using just white. But actually in this painting, as you can see, you've got exposed canvas around the edge. You've also got underneath the white, very thick impasto paint on top, you've got different colours coming through. And for him, it was about exploring the materials of the paint, but also the process of looking and creating art.
And this process, he was really experimenting with himself by looking, wasn't he? Because he didn't start as an artist. How did he begin his own practice?
So Robert Ryman first discovered art when he was working as a security guard at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, where he started working in 1953. It was there that he became exposed to the work of Matisse and Rothko and Picasso and all the other great works of art he was surrounded by. And rather than having any formal artistic training, one day he decided to go to the art shop and buy some canvas, buy some paints, and just to see what would happen. And what I love about his work is that sense of unknown exploration that you get in each work. He's trying to see what is possible with painting, what are the material qualities of the paint, but also what different effects can you achieve. By going for white paintings, he was able to really shift the focus onto light and movement and texture and composition in a way in which wouldn't have been possible had he been using multicolored compositions.
So with Ryman, we really see a visual language that has continued to be enduring to this day. We now come to the alchemist of painting, Frank Bowling, and his work, Moby Dick. First, can we touch on the significance of the title and this piece in particular?
Moby Dick from 1981 is one of Frank Bowling's most important paintings. It brings together 2 decades of experience of exploring the infinite possibilities of paint, both through figurative representations in the 1960s and then abstract pour paintings in the 1970s that he made whilst he was in the US. Now back home in England in early 1980s, we see Frank Bowling bringing together these experiences, these 2 contradictory modes of expression, into paintings that I feel rank amongst his most important and finest achievements.
And he's constantly playing, isn't he, with colour and different types of techniques. And he's talking here about water.
So Frank Bowling's studio was right next to the River Thames, and he made a series of paintings about the Thames pictures. Moby Dick doesn't fit within that series, but you can see here that he's working by the river. You can sense the movement, the fluidity of the paint. It's almost like the surface is alive. You've got so many different layers and kind of fluctuations of the paint, the way in which the layers overlap as well. It's very much a fluid process that you can see almost unraveling before your eyes.
So he's constantly looking at nature and geopolitics. How do you think Frank's background informed his practice?
Well, Frank had a very diverse upbringing, I suppose, compared to a lot of artists who he found himself working alongside at the Royal College of Art. He was born and raised in Guyana before coming to England aged 19, and it was there that he was working alongside Hockney and Kittai at the Royal College. After that, he moved to America, so he was kind of, again, soaking up more influences, more experiences. And all of these, I think, informed his work. And by the time he was back in England in the early 1980s, he'd really emerged as a full, confident artist in his own right, who'd taken, the experiences of his childhood, London, New York, and now back again, working alongside the river.
And this confidence is also really shown and recognised in the fact that he was the first black artist to receive a Royal Academician recognition. And he's had some great institutional shows, of which this painting appeared in one.
Yeah, so Moby Dick was very prominently displayed in the Tate show that Frank Bowling had here a couple of years ago, and also before that it was shown at the Sharjah Biennial. This really is one of the artist's strongest works that I've ever seen, and it's certainly the strongest work to be offered at auction so far.
James, thank you so much for talking us through the works today. So that concludes our gallery tour of the London sales here in Sotheby's. These works are available for preview and to the public from the 7th to the 12th of October. There'll also be some highlights from the Paris sales as well as from the Emily Fisher Landau collection. So whether you're a collector or just culturally curious, I'd highly recommend a visit.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and warm welcome to Sotheby's London. For those of you here with us in our new Bond Street sale room, and to those joining our live stream online from across the world. My name is Michael Macaulay, and it is my great pleasure to be your auctioneer for the first of tonight's sales, the Now Evening Auction. Before beginning tonight's auction, we wanted to acknowledge what a difficult week of heartbreaking conflict this has been, the impact of which is felt worldwide. I know we are all united in hoping for a peaceful outcome and for the safety and protection of innocent lives. As those of you who are familiar with the Now auction will know, this sale is focused on the most relevant and vital art of our time. And this season, we'll be presenting 22 works by some of today's most perceptive talents, among them William Monk, Nicole Eisenman, Mohamed Sami, Lynette Yadom-Boake, Marlene Dumas, Jade Fedoujetimi, and many more. Following this sale, I will hand over to my colleague Oliver Barker, who will be your auctioneer for the Contemporary Art Evening Auction, which, along with this sale, will be presented in partnership with the French couture house CELINE. Ahead of the start, a few announcements. Please note that everything is sold under the authenticity guarantee and on an as-is basis. Buyer's premium and overhead premium will be added to the hammer price of each lot offered, along with any applicable artist resale right royalty and any applicable VAT or amount in lieu of VAT as part of the total purchase price payable. Please refer to the online sale catalogue for further information regarding lots with guarantees and irrevocable bids. Please also refer to our conditions of business for our full terms of sale. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, here we are during Freeze Week. I'm delighted to start here with our opening Lot 1, Three Clouds Rising by William Monk. Sold as viewed, thank you very much indeed. Widely admired in our galleries. Archetypal of the artist's preoccupation with the history of both landscape and abstract painting, representing an important moment in his practice as he moved towards a more economic style and brighter palette. And I can start here already at 48,000, 50,000, 55,000 only, 55, 60, 65 is already here. Who's going to say 70? At 65, 70, 75 against you, David. At 75, 80 with David Schrader on the telephone at £80,000 and selling with David Schrader against you in the room. 85 online, took it just ahead of you, like 90. 90 in the room, thank you very much. At 90, it's seated in the room. At 90, 95, back to you, David. 100,000 seated, thank you. At 100,000, it's here, David. Coming back against you online for now. At 100,000. Here in the room, seated against the rest of you. 110 with you, David. Would you like 120? It's at 100 and 120 with Max Moore in a new place. Against you, David. Will you say 130? It's with Max at £120,000 now. David, against you for now. With you, Max Moore at 120,000. 130, thank you very much. Back in the room at 130, seated. Over to you, Max. Will you say 140? It's at 130 here. 140, it's yours. For now, at 140,000. Would you like 150? At 140,000, here on my right, with Max, here from Hong Kong, at £140,000. At £140,000. At £140,000. It's yours for now, Max, against the rest of you in the room. Are you coming back, madam? At £140,000. It's still with you, Max, against you online. Against you here, at 140, here on my right. At 140. Phoebe, you're coming in. 150. Welcome. Good evening. Yes, you are. 150 over here on my left with Phoebe. Max, back to you. At 150, it's not yours for now. And indeed, lady seated at £150,000. With Phoebe on the telephone on the left-hand side at £150,000. Are we all through? Against you, Max, against you in the room, against you online. 160 bid just in time online. Thank you. That's paddle 40. Phoebe, back to you. It's at 160 with the online bidder. At £160,000. Phoebe, are we going on? Or indeed Max or David Schrader or anybody else, indeed. At £160,000. With the online bidder, not yours. 70's next. I think 70's next because the online bidder is still on 160. At 160. Let's try 170 if we can. Lot 1. At £160,000 with the online bidder then. Are we all through? Fair warning. At £160,000. Max. Last chance. 170. Thank you very much indeed. At 170, over to you, Phoebe. Back to you online. Will you say 180? It's at 170. Yes, you will. Thank you very much. No hesitation there at all. At 180,000. 190. Thank you, Phoebe. At 190. Yes? 190. Thank you. Back to you online. It's at 190 here at New Bond Street. 190, 200. It's yours now. At £200,000. Phoebe, will you say 220? It's at 200,000 with the online bidder. As you can see, Maxie coming back. You've hung up. That's a sign. 220. Thank you very much indeed. At 220. 240 is that next then. It's at 220 here at Sotheby's London with Phoebe on the telephone. It's yours at 220. Yes? At 220, it's yours. 210. I'll take it. We've come this far. 210,000 here with Phoebe on the telephone. If we can update the increments at 210,000 here with Phoebe's telephone. We've come this far. Over to you online. Next bid will be 220, please, if you'd like it. Click now. No regrets. At £210,000 on my left with Phoebe's telephone against the rest of you and selling for £210,000. So, congratulations. Your paddle, please. Paddle 35. Thank you very much indeed. Congratulations to them. Next, we have Lot 2, Michaela Yearwood Dan's Nuestra Planeta Roto, created as part of the artist's celebrated Love Letters to series, painted during her residency at Saraband, the Lee Alexander McQueen Foundation. Some interest here. I'm starting at only 38,000, 40,000, 42,000 only, at 42, 45, 48 back here, at 50 with you, Alex, and selling at 50, 55 in the room, 60. Thank you, Alex. Would you like 65? It's at 60 with Alex Branchik. Against you now at £60,000 with Alex Branchik. His telephone here on my left at £60,000. Would you like one more, madam? 65 is bid online at 65. Over to you, Alex. 70. Thank you. 70,000 back here with Alex at 70. Over to you online. It's at £70,000. Still here at Sotheby's at £70,000. At £70,000. Are we all through? Madam, you coming back? At 70,000. Thank you very much anyway. 75 for the online bidder at paddle 12. 80,000. Thank you, Alex. 80,000. It's yours now. At £80,000 with Alex Branchik. 85 is online. Thank you very much indeed. 85. Are you quite sure, Alex? So unlike you. It's early days. At £85,000 with the online bidder, paddle 12. Brooke. Flicker of interest at £85,000 with the online bidder. Against the phones on this side. At £85,000 are we going on. Fair warning then. Last chance. Thank you very much anyway. Going to you. Thank you, sir, in the new place. Thank you very much. At £90,000. Gentleman seated in the room at 90,000. Back to you online. It's at £90,000 now. 90,000. With you, sir, at 90. Not yours online. It is now at 95. Would you like 100? At £95,000 with the online bidder at 95. Sir, are we going on? Thank you so much. £100,000 bid here in the sale room at New Bond Street then, at £100,000 with you, sir. Against you online, 110 is next, please. It's at £100,000. The gentleman seated at £100,000 against the rest of you. 110 is bid now at 110. Back to you, sir. Would you like 120? Thank you so much. At 120, it's over to you. Online, back to your side of the court. 130, it's yours now at 130. Should we say 140? 140. At 140. 150. Thank you very much anyway. At £150,000, still with the online bidder then, against the rest of you in the room and on the phones, the rest of you online, at £150,000 for the Yearwood Dan. Fair warning, I'm selling it to you online. Thank you very much indeed for £150,000. So, congratulations. That goes to paddle 12. We now turn to lot 3, Beer Garden with Big Hand. Showing on the easel here. Thank you very much indeed. By Nicole Eisenman, executed between 2012 and 2017. Epitomizing her uniquely diverse draftsmanship here. And there's some interest here, so I'm going to start already at only 85, 90, £95,000 at £95,000. £100,000. Thank you, barmaid. I have 110 here. At 110, it's here with me. It's not yours for now. At 110, here with the absentee bidder. At 110. 120, thank you, barmaid. And I have 130 already. Still here with me with the absentee bidder at £130,000. Here in the book at 130,000. Barmaid, should we say 140? 135. I mean, we didn't take it before. At £130,000. Can you stretch to 140? 140. Thank you very much indeed. At £140,000. Thank you, barmaid. It's still with you. It's against me, against everybody else in the room. For the Eisenman, last chance. Where's the bid? Oh, it's Alex. 150 is bid online. Thank you. At 150 against you now, barmaid. At £150,000 with the online bidder, paddle 44. £150,000. 160 with you, Alex Branchik. Thank you. At 160, back to you online. It's with Alex Branchik here at Sotheby's at £160,000. At 160. At 160, are we going on online? At £160,000. At 160, still yours, Alex. Fair warning then. Tony, you coming in? At £160,000. Fair warning. Sold. Congratulations, Alex. Thank you very much. Paddle 46. Moving on. Moving on, we have lot 4. Mohammed Sami's Poor Folk 1, a powerful commentary on themes of presence and absence. Most recently, Sami has been the subject of major solo exhibitions in New York and London, of course. A number of phones here, so I'm going to start straight away at £50,000, £55,000. Who's saying 60? At £55,000 only, at 55. At 60 is online. Thank you very much. And selling to the online bidder at £60,000 only. We all through. 65 with you, Tony, at 65. With Antonia Gardner at 65. In the room, sir. Thank you. 70. And in a new place, 75. Precedence the room. 80. I'm taking it here. 80. 85. Over to you. 90. I took it here. Who's saying 95? 95. Will you say 100? 100 with Tony. Who's saying 110? 110. I took it with Barmay. Who's going to say 120? 120. Thank you, sir. At 120. 120 is already in the room, Antonio. 130, I'll take it at 130. So we'd like 140. 140, thank you very much indeed. Who's going to say 150? It's at 140 with you, sir. 150 with Julian Gascoigne. I saw it there first. At 150 with Julian. 160, thank you, sir. At 160. Julian, are you saying 170? Or indeed online? Several places here. In a new place with Max at 170. It's yours, Max, at 170. Who's saying 180? 180, thank you, sir. At 180 then. At 180, gentlemen seated in the room. 190 with you, Max. Will you say 200, sir? At 190, here with Max Moore. At £190,000. At £190,000. Here on the telephone on my right, against the rest of you, Antonia, Alex, Julian, James, Barmay. At 190, it's yours for now, Max. With Milap in a new place, £200,000. Thank you, Milap. Back to you, Max. Will you say 220? We're going to stick on increment, please, in a new place. With Marina, 220. Thank you. At 220,000. Milap, will you see 240? So 220 with Marina, 240. Yes, you will. Thank you. At £240,000. With you, Milap, for now, at £240,000. Happening on this side. Marina, will you say 260? At £240,000. Alex, either of your phones. 260, I took it with Marina first, just ahead of you. I'm sorry. Max. At 260, it was with Marina. Milap, 280. At 280,000 with Milap. Who's going to say 300? At £280,000 with Milap then. At £280,000, are we all through? Fair warning. Not yours, Marina. Against the rest of you? 300, I took it with Lucius. At 300, I think we'll stay on increment for now, please. At £300,000 with you, Lucius, in a new place. Milap, will you say 320? It's at £300,000. 320, thank you, Marina. Over to you at 320. 350 is next, please. At £320,000, here on my left with Marina's telephone. At 320. At 350 would be ideal. Is anybody else going to suggest 350? At £320,000 still in Marina. 350, thank you very much indeed. At 350,000 over to you, Lucius. 380 is next, please. At 350 with you, Lucius. Marina, will you say 380? It's at £350,000. Here with Lucius Elliott, head of the Now sale in New York, at £350,000. Would you like 380? We've come this far. At £370,000, I will take it. Thank you very much. At 370, Lucius. At 370. Would you like to try 400? 380. At £380,000. At £380,000. Antonio, you're coming in. At £380,000, it's yours. Marina, I'll offer you 390. If you'd like it, at £380,000. Are we all through? Fair warning then. Thank you very much anyway. Thank you to all your bidders for your bids. At £380,000, here with Lucius Elliott's telephone, against the rest of you, and selling for £380,000. Congratulations. Sold. Sorry, with the hammer. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. 400,000? 390. 390 seems fair. 390, thank you very much. 400. Still very much live. Would you like 410? 410. Lucius. Would you like 420? 420. $430. At 430, Lucius. Would you like to try 450? 440. Thank you very much anyway. At £440,000, still with Lucius Elliott here on my left, against the rest of you, selling it for real, I think, this time. Fair warning, and selling to you, Lucius, for £440,000. Sold. Congratulations. Your paddle, please. L0053. Thank you very much indeed. Next up, lot 5. Showing at the back of the sale room. Thank you very much indeed. Lynette Yadon-Boakay's 6 Birds in the Bush, one of the artist's most recognizable works, of course, having been the front cover of the artist's hardback exhibition catalogue Fly and League with the Night, published by Tate in December 2020. Some interest here, of course, widely admired on our view, and I'm starting at only £850,000, 900,000, £950,000 only. At £1 million now, at 1 million, 1,100,000, and 1,150,000. At £1,150,000. At £1,150,000. At £1,150,000. £1,150,000. £1,200,000. Thank you, David. At £1,200,000. With David Galperin at £1,200,000. At £1,200,000. At £1,200,000. £1,350,000. Thank you, Lucius. At £1,350,000. At £1,350,000 with Lucius Elliott. £1,400,000. Against you now. At $1,400,000 with David Galperin's telephone. $1,450,000. $1,450,000 against you, David. £1,500,000. At £1,500,000. Over to you, Lucius. At 1.5. Will you say 1,550? 1,600,000. I like your style. Thank you very much indeed. At 1.6, David, are you going to replicate that? At £1,600,000 against you now. Would you like 1.7? 1.7. Thank you. At 1,700,000. Lucius, back to you. At 1.7. Should we say 1.8? At 1,700,000 with David Galperin. At 1,700,000. At 1,700,000, 1,800,000. At 1,800,000. Back to you, David. 1.8 against you. 1.9. At 1,900,000 now. 1,950,000. Happy to. At 1,950,000 over to you, David. If you come this far, should we make it a round number? Or £2 million? £2 million. £2,100,000. £2,200,000. £2,200,000. Back to you, Lucius. £2,300,000. 2.4. At £2,400,000, Lucius. Against you now. Take all the time you need, within reason. At £2,400,000. Take 50. At £2,400,000, Lucius, in case you need reminding, at £2,400,000 with David Galperin. Quite sure, thank you very much indeed anyway. At £2,400,000, then a new auction record for the artist to you, David Galperin, sold for £2,400,000. Sold, congratulations. L39, thank you very much indeed. Now we go to lot 6, Stephanie Heinz's Voyeurs Interfere, which marks her auction debut. Her innovative work is held in major institutional collections in Dresden, Miami, and Dallas. I have some absentee advance interest here already, so I'm going to start straight away. 100, 120, 110, 120, already in the book at 120,000. 130, over to you, Max, at £130,000. 140 with Ottilie at 140. With you, Ottilie, at £140,000, at 140 against the rest of you. Where's the bid? Forgive me, sir, sorry. At 150, it's yours. At 150 against both of you then. With you, sir, at £150,000. 160. Would you like 170? 170, thank you. 170 against you now, Ottilie. Will you say 180? 180, you will. At 180,000. Would you like 190? At 200,000 pounds, just ahead of you both. At 200,000 with Phoebe's telephone at 200. At 200,000 pounds. Next bid on increment would be 220. At 200,000 pounds. Thank you, Phoebe. At 200. Ottilie, sir, at 200,000 pounds against you both with Phoebe's telephone, as you can see. Fair warning. Both of you out. Thank you very much, Phoebe. Against the rest of you. How much? 210. Yeah, sorry, I thought you said 3. £210,000. Thank you, Ottilie. It's over to you. At 210. At 210. Phoebe, back to you. At £210,000 here on my right with Ottilie Windsor. On the far telephone at 210,000. 220, thank you very much. At 220, back to you, Ottilie. At £220,000, would you like 230? Shake of the head, thank you very much anyway. So coming back at £220,000 with you, Phoebe, against the rest of you, and selling then for £220,000. Sold. Thank you, Phoebe. Paddle 35. Thank you very much indeed. Next we have lot 7, multicoloured female composition from 2016 by George Condo, showing here at the front of the room on the right-hand side, looking resplendent. An extraordinary example of the artist's instantly recognisable language of art historical synthesis and vibrantly fractured figuration. And I'm opening the bidding here at only £1,700,000, £1,700,000, £1,800,000, £1,900,000. 2 million with you, James, and 2 million, 2,200,000 against you now. At 2,500,000, I took it there first. Would you like to? It's at 2,500,000 already. At 2,500,000 with James Sevier, Head of Contemporary Art for Europe, with James on the telephone at £2,500,000. Would you like 2,600,000, madam? At 2,500,000, it's already here at 2,500,000. Against the rest of you in the room and online and the rest of the phones at 2,500,000. With you, James, at 2,500,000. At 2,500,000. At 2,500,000. Would you like 2,600,000? At £2,500,000. It's against you for now on the telephone on my right at £2,500,000. Against the rest of you in the room and indeed online at 2,500,000. Madam? Would you like to bid 2,600,000? No? Thank you very much anyway. At 2,500,000 with you, James, against the rest of you then, against you online, against the phones, and selling to you, James, for £2,500,000. Sold. Thank you very much indeed. L0059. Thank you so much. And here we are at lot 8, Marlène de Dumas' 1999 canvas spread, part of Dumas' series of paintings that depict sex workers, which was based primarily on a joint photographic portrait project with Anton Corbijn in 1998. Showing here on the easel, thank you so much. And I'm starting here at only 320,000, 350, 380, at 380,000, 400,000 with you, Fergus, at £400,000, at 400 with Fergus Duff. Here, On my far left telephone at £400,000 only. Any advance against 400? Selling to you, Fergus, at £400,000 then. At £400,000 against the rest of you in the room and on the phones and indeed online at 400 with you, Fergus. Fair warning then. Against the rest of you and selling for £400,000. Sold. Thank you very much, Fergus. That goes to paddle 43. Next up, lot 9, Elizabeth Peyton's celebrated interrogation of celebrity finds no greater subject than David, Victoria and Brooklyn. Beckham, of course. Sold as viewed. Thank you very much. No explanation required to anyone with a Netflix account. This is one of the largest works by the artist to have been offered at auction, and I'm going to start bidding here at only 900,000, 950,000 only, at 1 million, at 1 million. 1-1 with Antonia Gada, 1,150,000 over to you, Barmy. 1-2 with you, Isabel, at 1,200,000. 1,250,000 with you, Barmy. 1-3 at 1,300,000. At 1,003,000 with you, Isa. 1,350,000 at 1,350,000. At 1,350,000. At 1,350,000. Is, are you saying 1-4? At 1,350,000. With Barmy then, at 1,350,000. At £1,350,000 against the rest of you in the room at 1,350,000. At 1,350,000. 1,350,000. We all through. Fair warning then. With you, Barmy. Last chance and selling to you for £1,350,000. Sold. Congratulations. That goes to paddle 50. That brings us to lot 10, the luminous 2018 work Cradled by Jade Fedujatimi. Sold as viewed, thank you. One of the most exciting contemporary painters of today, of course, with work in multiple museum collections and the youngest artist held by the Tate. I'm going to start bidding here at only 280,000, 300,000, 320,000 only at 320,000. At 320,000 only at 320. At 320,000, 350. Thank you, sir. At 350, 380 against you now. Will you say 400? It's at 380. It's at 380,000. Not yours for now. Would you like 400? At 380,000. At 380,000. At 380,000. 390. Yes, thank you. At 390,000. At 390,000 only. Here. On my left, seated in the room at £390,000 and selling at 390,000. At £390,000? For £390,000, we all through. Fair warning then. Selling to you, sir, for £390,000. Congratulations. Sold. Paddle 939. Thank you very much indeed. And now lot 11, Cecily Brown's Tricky, executed in 2001, an impressive early example of Brown's synthesis of gestural abstraction and figurative illusion, showing here at the front of the room, to my right, as you can see. And I'm going to open the bidding here at only £900,000, at 900,000, 950, at 1 million already, at 1 million, at 1 million only, at 1 million, 1,100,000, at 1,100,000. At 1,100,000 for the Cecily at 1,001,000. 1,200,000. Thank you so much. At 1,200,000, it's yours. At 1,200,000. At 1,200,000. At 1,200,000. At 1,200,000. At 1,200,000, it's yours. 1,300,000. Thank you very much. At 1,300,000 against the two of you. At 1,300,000. 1,400,000. At 1,400,000. At 1,400,000. Jackie, we're going on at 1,400,000. 1,500,000. Back to you at 1,500,000. In the room. Sorry, 1,600,000. Thank you, madam. At 1,600,000. It's yours. At 1,600,000. Against both of the telephones at 1,600,000. 1,700,000. Madam, would you like 1,800,000? Thank you. At 1,800,000. It's yours. For now. At 1,800,000. At 1,800,000. Are we going on? Thank you very much. 1,900,000. At 2 million. Thank you. Against you, Julia. It's at £2 million in the room. I'll take 2-1. 2-1. Yeah. At 2 million. Thank you very much anyway, madam. At 2,100,000. Still with you, Julia. Against the rest of you on the phones and in the room at 2,100,000. Jackie, last chance. Fair warning. Are we all through? Fair warning for the Cecily. Last chance. Selling to you, Julia, for £2,100,000. Sold. Congratulations. Thank you very much indeed. That's paddle 10. Moving on to lot 12, where artist Adrian Genny depicts himself as Charles Darwin, part of the famous 2012 series, showing himself as the eminent naturalist. Showing here on the easel. Thank you so much. And I'm going to start the bidding at only 180,000, 190, 200,000, only 200,000, 220,000. At 220,000, 250. At 250 with Jackie Wachter. Thank you. At 250, if we could update the board at 250. Any advance against 250? It's at 250,000. At 250,000. David, are you coming in? At 250. 280 would be next, ideally. It's at 250. At 250,000 with Jackie Wachter's telephone here on my left. At 250 and selling. Are we all through? Fair warning against you in the room and online at 250,000. Fair warning. Last chance for you, Jackie. Selling at £250,000. Sold. Congratulations. That goes to paddle 52. Lot 13 has been withdrawn, so we move straight on here to lot 14. Harold Ancart's monumental oil stick on canvas, rendition of rich tropical vegetation, so recognisable of his landscape works. Sold as viewed, I thought it might be. And I'm opening here at only 180, 190, at 190, 200, at £220,000 already, at 220, at 220,000, at £220,000 only, at 220, at 220, at 240 is bid online and selling at 240 with the online bidder at 240, at £240,000 with the online bidder at 240,000, at 240,000. Any advance? It's with the online bidder at 240. At 240,000. At 240 for last chance, fair warning. And selling to you online for £240,000. Sold. Congratulations. That goes to paddle 25, bidding online. Thank you very much indeed. That brings us to lot 15, the brilliantly vibrant Untitled work by Matt Connors from 2015. Sold as viewed. Thank you very much indeed. Starting here at only 45,000, 48,000, 50,000, 55,000, only 60,000. Thank you, Alex. And selling at 60. Here at 60. Already at 60. Any advance against £60,000. Selling on my left with Alex Branchik at £60,000. 65. Took it there. 70 with Lorenzo. Who's going to say 75? It's at 70 with Lorenzo. David Galperin just ahead of you at 75. 80 with Alex. Back to you, Alex. Who's going to say 85? 85, David Galperin. At 85, over to you. Alex, will you say 90? Or indeed, at £85,000. At 85, 90, with you, Lorenzo, at 90 now. At 90,000. 95. At 95. Will you say 100, Lorenzo? It's at £95,000 with David Galperin. At 95. 100. Thank you so much, Basti. At 100,000. Here on my left. At 100. Against you both. David, you coming back? It's at 100,000 with Bastien Leuter. Here on my left. 100,000. Thank you anyway. Thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Alex. At £100,000. It's yours, Basti. Against the rest of you in the room and online. Fair warning. I'm selling it to you, Basti. Would you like 110? At £100,000. Here with Basti. At 100,000. Thank you anyway. Selling to you, Basti. £100,000. Sold. Congratulations. That's paddle 18. Thank you very much to them. Next on to lot 16, a lyrically complex, mature painting from Albert Erland's important series of abstractions. And I'm starting here at only 420,000, at 420, 450, 480 only, at 480,000, at £480,000 only, at 480, at 480,000, 500, thank you, Ollie, at 500, at 500, 550 is against you, Ollie, at 550, not yours for now, it's at 550, at 550,000, at 550,000, at 550, at 560,000 pounds at 560. Like 80 at 560. At 560. At 560. Any advance against 560? At £560,000. Tables have turned here. At £560,000. At £560,000. Fair warning. Against the rest of you? At 560. Last chance. At 560, it's with you, Ollie. Fair warning, and I'm selling it then for £560,000. Sold. Congratulations, Ollie. That goes to paddle 60. Thank you very much indeed. Lot 17, Richard Prince's painting Untitled Cowboy from 2012. Of course, referencing his legendary original Cowboy series of the early 1980s, showing here on the easel. Thank you very much indeed to you both. And I'm opening here at only 320,000, at 320, 350, 380 already, at 380, 400,000, 400,000, at 420 ahead of you online, at £420,000, already ahead of you online, at £420,000 only here for the Prince Cowboy at 420, at £420,000, at 420. Tom, you're coming in at 420, at 420, at £420,000, at 420. 450, thank you, Max, at £450,000. Selling with Max Moore on my right at 450. Selling to you at £450,000. At 450, against you, David, against you, Tom, against you, Tony, at £450,000. Last chance, at selling to you, Max, for £450,000. Sold. Thank you very much, Max. You'll find one. We'll find you. Thank you so much. And that brings us then, next up, lot 18, Jordan Castile's Jonathan, included in the new museum show in 2020, an outstanding example of the Visible Man series. And I'm opening here at only 180, 190,000, at 190,000, at 190,000 only, at 190, at £190,000, at 190, at 190, at £190,000. At 190, at 190,000, 190,000, 190,000, 200,000 now, at 200, 200, at 200,000 and 220,000, at 220,000, David Schrader, at £220,000, at 220, at 220,000 then, fair warning, against the room and online and the phones, at £220,000. Pass, 220. That brings us to lot 19, Jiang Cheng's U96, Michael, which marks the artist's auction debut, with tightly cropped faces of real and imagined sitters obscured through layering and repetition. I'm starting here at only 18, 19,000, 20,000, 22,000, only at £22,000, at £22,000, at £22,000, at 22. At 25,000, thank you, David. At £25,000, over to you. 25. Next will be 28, please. It's at £25,000 with you, David, and selling at £25,000 against the rest of you on the phones and online and in the room at £25,000 only. Fair warning, last chance with you, David, for £25,000. Sold. Thank you very much indeed. Paddle 8. Now we come to lot 20. Louise Bonnet's The Shirt, influenced by surrealism, science fiction, and comedic horror films, showing here on the easel. Thank you, gentlemen. Have some absentee interest here. I can start already at 80, 90, £100,000, selling with the absentee bidder in my book at £100,000. At £100,000 here already at 100. Selling here in the book at 100. Any advance against 100? Is that an online bid? At 110, thank you, with paddle 32. At 110,000. With the online bidder then. At 110,000. Holding for you, Ottilie. I see you now. At 110,000. At 110,000. With the online bidder. Well, should we say 120? It's with the online bidder at 110,000. At 110,000. 120. Thank you very much, Alina. At 120,000. With Alina Davey here on my right, on the telephone, against you, Ottilie, against you online, at £120,000. It's with Alina Davey here on the near telephone at £120,000. Max, you coming in? 120, fair warning, and I'm selling it then. The Bonnet. 130 is just a bit ahead of you. At 130 is bid online with paddle 11. Alina, would you like 140? Or indeed Max or Ottilie? Shake of the head, thank you anyway. At 130, it's with you online at 130. At £130,000. At 130. Ottilie, Max, Alina, I'm selling it. Last chance for £130,000. Sold. Congratulations. That goes to online paddle 11. That brings us to lot 21, the millinery shop by Julie Curtis, painted in 2018, epitomizing her stylized explorations of stereotyped femininity, showing here on the easel. I have some interest already in the book, so I'm starting at 90,000, 100,000, 110, 120 already, at 120, selling here. 130, thanks Fergus, it's yours, at £130,000. At 130, with Fergus Duff. I'm out, it's yours Fergus, against you online, against you in the room, at 130, with you Fergus. Fair warning against the rest of you, last chance, at £130,000. Sold, thank you Fergus. Paddle 29, congratulations to them. We now come to lot 22, the final lot of the Now auction. Izzy Wood's Kink Starter from 2020, one of the artist's most striking and spectacular series of jacket paintings on velvet. Sold as viewed, thank you very much. It was here earlier. And I can start already here with some interest at 110, 120, 130, already with a bid in the book at 130. Who's saying 140? It's at 130, already here in the book. At 130 and selling at 130 with the absentee bid. Here in the book at 130. At 130. James, you coming in? At 130. 140. It's over to you, James. I'm out. 140 is here. Who's saying 150? 150 with Stefano. At 150, it's yours. Who's going to say 160? It's yours, Stefano, at 150. 160, just ahead of you with James. You need to be fast. At 160. 170 with you, Stefano. 170 with you, Stefano. 180 with Alex at £180,000. 190, back to you, Stefano. At 190. At 190, who's going to say a round number? At 190 with you, Stefano, at £190,000. At 190,000, we're going on. At 190. 190,000. At 190, 200,000. Thank you, Alex. At 200. Stefano, are we going on at £200,000? Yes. Sion, are you bidding? 220? Yes? £220,000. Thank you very much indeed. At 220. Against the three of you then, at 220 in a new place with Sion's telephone. Against you, Alex, James, and Stefano. 240. Thank you. Sion, do you want 260? It's at 240 here with Alex. £250,000 is the last lot of the sale. At 250 over to you, Sion. At 250. Alex, will you say 260? Or indeed James? Or Stefano? Or Lucius? It's with you, Sion, at 250. I'm going to sell it then to Sion's telephone bidder. 260. Just in time at 260. Sion, say 270. It's at 260 now. 260, are we going on? 270, I just took it ahead of you with Sion. At £270,000. Back to you, James, if you like. It's at 270 with Sion's telephone bidder. Alex, are we going on? 280. Thank you, James. He'll say 290. £280 with James Francis Fox. You've hung up, Alex. That's pretty definitive. At £280,000, still with you, James. Should we say 290? Still with James at 280. £300,000, thank you. At 300,000. James, would you like 320? Gonna have to hurry you. Ollie's raring to start. At £300,000. 310. Sion, back to you. Would you like 320? Shake of the head. Thank you very much anyway. At £310,000 with James Francis Fox on my left. Last lot of the sale. 320 bid online. Who saw that coming? At £320,000 with the online bidder. Back to you, James. At 320, thank you very much. Paddle 40 at £320,000. Over to you, James, at 320. Will you say 330? We've come this far. 330, yes you will. Thank you, at 330. Against you now, paddle 40 online. It's at 330 here at Sotheby's, New Bond Street, at £330,000. Here in the room on the telephone at 330. At 330. Are we going on? Click now. No regrets. Thank you very much indeed. £330,000. Selling to you, James. Sold. Paddle 41. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much to all for tuning in from around the world for this evening's Now auction, and especially to those of you who participated in the sale. We will now take a 10-minute break and then look forward to welcoming you back for the second of this evening's sales, when Oliver Barker will take to the rostrum for our contemporary evening auction. But for now, it's a very good night from me. Thank you.
I'm never prepared for the experience of standing in front of it. It's almost like this cliff face of colour and texture. So I'm here to talk to you about the star lot in our upcoming October evening sale here in London, and it is a magnificent abstract painting by Gerhard Richter. So what strikes you about this painting when you first see it is the colour. The red colour in this painting is luminous, but it's a red which has got so many different variations within it in terms of the movement, the texture, the detail. It's almost like rainfall coming down the canvas. But beyond that, you then see ghosts of other paintings that sit behind it. You've got incredible range of blues and green, and it's the blending of those images. It's almost seeing past different layers of the painting that encourage you to look beyond the immediacy of the bright red veil into the creation of the painting. What you're seeing is a very present moment in which you can see almost the passage of time. Rather than painting in the traditional manner of oil on a brush onto the canvas, he applied the paint onto the squeegee and then applied the paint with this large bar across the surface of the canvas. The effect that this created was completely unprecedented in art history. The strength of those marks on the surface, the effects they have, the way in which the paint is applied in these paintings makes them so unique and powerful. And when you get up close, you can see just the infinite variation in the blending of the different paint colors and the different paint surfaces. So one squeegee layer is then superimposed by countless other layers on top of that. And the movement you get within the paint surface is completely unique to Gerhard Richter's abstract paintings. They're very strong, beautiful, but at the same time quite violent. Aside from the color, the other most extraordinary presence of this painting is in its scale. It towers above the viewer. It's just one of the most extraordinary paintings we've been fortunate enough to handle here at Sotheby's. You are constantly immersed in a moment of Richter's genius, that process of creation, destruction, positivity, negativity, darkness and light. And it really is a transcendental experience standing in front of a painting like this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you are joining us now, I would like to extend a very warm welcome here to Sotheby's in London. My name is Oliver Barker, and I will be your auctioneer for our contemporary evening auction, presented in partnership with the French couture house CELINE. For our second sale this evening, we will turn to works by the most acclaimed post-war and contemporary artists. Headlining tonight's auction is an outstanding example from Gerhard Richter's Abstraktes Bild series, painted in 1986, a seminal year for the artist. Widely considered to be one of the most highly celebrated abstract cycles, the Abstraktes Bilder were realized during a climactic moment in Richter's career as he achieved unprecedented critical acclaim. This stunning work will be offered alongside paintings by critically acclaimed artists including Philip Guston, Robert Ryman, Frank Bowling, Pat Steer, and Francis Bacon. Before we begin, a few announcements. Please note that everything is sold under the authenticity guarantee and on an as-is basis. Buyer's premium and overhead premium will be added to the hammer price of each lot offered, along with any applicable artist resale right royalty, and any applicable VAT or amount in lieu of VAT as part of the total purchase price payable. Please refer to the online sale catalogue for further information regarding lots with guarantees and irrevocable bids. Please also refer to our conditions of business for our full terms of sale. And so now we begin, obviously, with lot number 101, the Sam Gilliam, showing on the screens. Showing us viewed, I think. Yep, thank you so much. Thank you very much indeed. The wonderful here, the soft melting, an early and large-scale example of Gilliam's iconic beveled edge canvases. And I'm going to start the bidding here at £450,000, and 450,000, 500,000, 550,000 now, 550,000, 600,000 is bid. With David Schrader at 600,000. I'm selling it here. It's on the telephone at £600,000. 650,000 is Tom's bid. 700,000. Thank you, David. It's 700,000. Give me 50, Tom. At 700,000. At 700,000. Say 50, sir. At 700,000. It's against you online too. It's £700,000. Still on this side of the room here. It's 700,000. Give me 50. At 700,000. Want to go on? It's £700,000 now. Still with David at 700,000. 750,000 now. 800,000. Thank you so much. And against you here at 800,000. Still here at £800,000 with David Schrader at 800,000 on my right. And selling, of course, for the Gilliam, the first lot of this evening's evening contemporary sale at £800,000. There it is, David. It's your bid at £800,000. Any more? At 800,000. Tommy coming in at all? 800,000. It's still with David and his bidder at 800,000. Against you here, sir, at 800,000. Against you, Brooke, too. At 800,000. Against you in several places. Come in here at 800,000. Still with you, David, at £800,000. Against you, Brooke, here at £800,000. I'm going to sell it this time. It's against the room. Fair warning now. It's with David. It's your bid, sir. Against you, Brooke, now. I'm going to sell it this time. Fair warning. Last chance at £800,000. Thank you very much, sir. It's paddle number 11. And we move on. Lot number 102 is the Pat Steer, the smaller yellow on blue. Waterfall. Wonderful painting here, painted in the early 1990s, of course, and I'm starting at 320,000, 350,000, 380,000 for the Pat Steer at £380,000. At £380,000. Any more? 380,000. At 380 now. At 380,000. Against you, sir, at 380. 400,000. Thank you, Max. It's your bidder at £400,000. Here it is, 400,000. Max Moore from our Hong Kong office at 400,000. It's your bid, sir, at 400,000. Against you, Camilla, at 400,000. Here at £400,000 and selling, of course, at 400,000. Last chance. Against you here. It's against you, Alex Branchik, too. It's at £400,000. Thank you, Max. Fair warning to you all. At £400,000. Last chance. I'm going to sell for £400,000. Max, it's yours at paddle number 31 at 400,000. And lot number 103, much anticipated painting, of course, Frank Bowling's Moby Dick, painted at a seminal moment when Bowling was consolidating his conceptual and technical mode of abstraction. Obviously featured in the recent retrospective at Tate Gallery, of course, his wonderful Bowling painting shown here. Thank you very much indeed. At the front of the galleries, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm starting here at 500,000, 520,000, 550,000 now, 550, 580,000, 600,000. Ladies bid at 600,000. Thank you so much. At 600,000. In the room here at £600,000. Against you on the telephones at 600,000. Your bid, madam, at 600,000. Here it is, at 600,000. It's against you further back. At 600,000, it's the ladies bid here. At 600,000. Fair warning now at 600. At 600,000. Still with you, madam, at 600,000. Against you further back there. At £600,000. That's 600,000. That's 600,000. Still with a lady, and against you on the telephones here. It's against you, James. I'm going to sell it this time. It's here at 600,000. Fair warning. Against you up front. Last chance now. James, you coming in? At 600,000, the lady here, and selling, last chance, at £600,000. Thank you, madam. It's paddle number 922. At 600,000. And 104 is the Andy Warhol here. Of course, one of the most dazzling examples from Warhol's series of diamond dust shoes. Created in 1980. Here it is, the diamond dust shoe, showing on my right. Thank you very much. Peeking through the foam bidders there. There it is, the shoe painting, and we're starting at 900,000, 950,000, at 950,000 pounds, 950, 1 million. At 1 million pounds now. At 1 million pounds, 1,100,000. At 1,100,000 pounds. At 1,200,000. Thank you, Isabella. 1,200,000. On the telephone at 1-2. At 1,200,000 pounds. Still with Isabella, selling at 1,200,000. 1,300,000 is bid this time at 1-3. At 1,300,000. Against you online too at 1,300,000. Is we going to come in again at 1,300,000? 1,400,000. Not yours, James. At 1,400,000. It's back with Isabella at 1,400,000. 1,500,000 now. Thank you. At 1,500,000. Against you on this side and the room at 1,500,000. 1,600,000 is bid. At 1,600,000. Thank you, Isabella. 1,600,000. 1,700,000. Back with James. Battle of the telephone bidders next to each other at 1,700,000. 1,800,000 now is bid. Thank you, Israel. 1,800,000. 1,900,000. Let's make it a cool 2 million. At 1,900,000. Thank you, James. £2 million is bid now. At 2 million. I want to say 2,200,000, James. At £2 million. Isabel's bidder at £2 million. 2,000,001. I'll take it. 2,100,000. 2-1. And against you is this time 2,200,000. Thank you. 2-2. At 2,200,000. 2,300,000 now. At 2,300,000. Still with James now at 2,300,000. We're coming in there at 2,300,000. 2-4. At 2,400,000. 2-5. Thank you, sir. At 2,500,000. 2,600,000. Thank you, Isabella. 2,600,000. It's all here at 2,600,000. Against you, Jackie, at 2,600,000. You bidding? No? At 2,600,000. 2,650,000. 2,650,000. 2,700,000. At 2,700,000. And against you, David, as well, at 2,700,000. Still here, it's Isabel's bidder at 2,700,000. Against you all in the room here. At 2,700,000. Thank you, Isabel. It's your bid. David, you want to come in at 2,700,000? No? At 2,700,000. I'm going to sell it, though. James, are we out here at 2,700,000? Fair warning now, last chance. Selling this time at 2,700,000. Final warning. And selling. Thank you, Isabel. For £2,700,000. Oops. There it goes. Thank you very much. Panel number 6. At 2,700,000. And lot number 105 is next. Sold as viewed. Thank you very much indeed. The Richard Prince, the Untitled. And we're going to start the bidding here at 1,200,000, 1,300,000, 1,400,000, at 1,400,000, 1,500,000, 1,600,000 with Isabel now, 1,600,000, and selling, of course, at 1,600,000. At 1,600,000 for the jug painting at 1,600,000. At 1,600,000. Still on the telephones at 1,600,000. Against you here, 1,600,000. Still with you, Isa, and selling at 1,600,000. On the telephone nearest to me here, 1,600,000. Against you in the room. Fair warning now, 1,600,000. You want to bid, sir? 1,600,000. I'm going to let it go here at 1,600,000. Selling here at 1,600,000. Fair warning, last chance. Thank you, Isa. And selling at £1,600,000. Panel number 40, thank you. And lot number 106 is the Yayoi Kusama, the pumpkin. Sold as view, thank you so much. And we're starting the bidding here at £2 million. At 2 million, 2,100,000, 2,200,000 now, 2,200,000, 2,300,000 now, 2,300,000, 2,400,000 now with Alex Branchik at 2,400,000. It's your bid, Alex, at £2,400,000. At 2,400,000. Any more? 2,500,000. Ladies bid up front. Thank you. At £2,500,000. Your bid at 2,500,000. Against you, Alex, this time at 2,500,000. Ladies bid in the room here at 2,500,000. Give me 6. At 2,500,000 up front on the first row here at 2,500,000. And we're going to sell it at 2,500,000. It's your bid, madam. Thank you. At 2,500,000. At 2,500,000. You're coming in here at 2,500,000 pounds. At 2,500,000. Alex, at 2,500,000. It's against you on this side too, and the rest of the room. It's the lady's bid here. I'm going to sell it at 2,500,000. Alex, fair warning now. You're out. And selling. Ladies' bid. Thank you so much. Sold to you. It's number 759. Thank you. At 2,500,000. At 107, the Ryman Gate painting, of course, which is sold as viewed. Thank you very much indeed. Executed in 1995, Gate is an iconic example of Ryman's monochrome painting, distinguished by its rich impasto surface, of course, wonderfully viewed in our North Gallery here. Throughout the exhibition that we have preceding the sale, and I'm going to start here at 1,700,000, 1,800,000, 1,900,000, £2 million now, £2 million, 2,100,000. Thank you, James, at £2,100,000. At 2,100,000, it's selling here at 2,100,000. It's James's bidder at 2,100,000. On the telephone at 2,100,000, James Sevier. At 2,100,000, we're coming in at 2,100,000. At 2,100,000, thank you, James. It's your bid, and I'm going to sell at 2,100,000. Last chance for £2,100,000. Thank you, James. It's paddle number. Thank you very much indeed. It's 2,100,000. And 108 is next, the Ruth Asawa, of course, the hanging looped wire sculpture, also sold as viewed. Thank you so much. Wonderful example, important example of her most iconic and beloved body of work, of course. Again, seen wonderfully in our galleries, this incredibly delicate, beautiful object. And I'm selling the bidding here at £950,000, at 950,000, £1 million now, at £1 million. At £1 million, 1,100,000. Gentleman's bid here at £1,100,000, at £1,100,000, 1,200,000, at £1,200,000, 1,300,000. Here at £1,300,000. Give me 4. At £1,300,000, £1,400,000. Thank you, Courtney. £1,400,000, £1,500,000. Gentleman's bid here at £1,500,000. Selling £1,600,000 his bid. Thank you. £1,600,000. Come in again, sir. 1,700,000. At £1,600,000. Here, it's Brooks' bidder here at 1,600,000. You want to bid, sir? 1,600,000. Corner, we're coming in again at 1,600,000. At 1,600,000. Here it is at 1,600,000. No? At 1,600,000. Still with you, Brooke, at 1,600,000. Want to try 50, sir? At 1,600,000. It's Brooke Lampley's bidder at 1,600,000. Here it is at 1,600,000. The selling bid at 1,600,000. You sure, sir? At 1,600,000. Thank you, Brooke, and thank you, Courtney. It's going to your client, Brooke, at 1,600,000. Last chance now, and selling for 1,600,000. Thank you. Paddle number 23. Thank you very much. Lot number 109, of course. Here we go. This brings us to our headline lot this evening, Gerhard Richter's Abstraktes Bild. This work from 1986 is an outstanding example of Richter's celebrated body of Abstraktes Bilder, and one of the most richly layered and chromatically astounding of all of the artist's paintings. It was last offered, indeed, here at auction 20 years ago in this very room. Sold here in front of you all, at the front of the room. Thank you very much indeed. Hanging for you there. And I'm going to start the bidding here at £11 million. At 11 million, 11,500,000, £12 million now. At 12 million, 12,500,000 pounds. At 12.5, £13 million now. At £13 million. At £13 million. At £13 million. At £13 million. 13 million. You're coming in there at £13 million. 13,500,000. At £13,500,000. 14 million. At £14 million. At 14 million. 14,500,000. At 14 million 5. At 14,500,000 pounds. At 14,500,000 pounds. Against you there at 14,500,000 pounds. At 14,500,000. Anyone else? At 14,500,000 pounds. At 14 million pounds. Against you, Jackie, at 14.5. 14,500,000 pounds coming in at 14,500,000. At 14,500,000. Any more? 14,500,000 pounds against you, sir, at 14,500,000. At 14,500,000. Fair warning. At 14,500,000 pounds. Last chance at 14,500,000 is a pass. At 14,500,000. And we move on to lot number 110, the Ella Natsui. This is the work, obviously, Dexterity, that was exhibited at the Royal Academy in the summer exhibition in 2021. Sold as viewed. It's at the back of the room for you here. Still wonderfully installed here. For your delectation, I'm going to start here at 400,000, 420,000, 450,000, at 450, 480,000 now. At 480,000 pounds. At 480,000 pounds. 500,000. Where's the bid? Thank you very much indeed. At 500,000. I see you now at 500,000. In the room here at 500,000 pounds. Selling here at 500,000 pounds. In the room, 500,000. Anyone else at 500,000 pounds? Against you, Tom. 550,000 is bid. 600,000. It's back in the room again at 600,000 pounds. Give me 50, Tom. At 600,000. Thank you. It's here at 600,000. And against you, Tom, at 600. It's in the room. 650. 700. Thank you. At 700,000 pounds. At 700,000. Not yours, Tom, this time. It's 700,000. That's 700,000. Say 50. 750 now it's bid. 800,000. At 800,000 pounds. That is bid at 800,000 pounds. In the room against you all over here at 800,000 pounds. There it is at 800,000 pounds. Thank you, madam. At 800,000. Tom, we're coming in again at 800,000. Say 50. At 800,000 pounds. Thank you. It's at 800. 850 now. 820 I'll take. Next bid will be 850, madam. 850. Thank you so much. At 850,000. And then we'll try 880, Tom, if you'll bid. At 850,000. Here it is in the room at 850,000. Thank you so much. At 850,000. You answer? At 850,000. Still here at 850,000. And selling. Against the rest of you, it's here at 850,000. I'm going to sell for 850,000 pounds. Thank you. It's paddle 990. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Perfect. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, if you don't mind. That's really kind. Thank you. And lot number 111 is the Francis Bacon, the study for a portrait, which is a portrait, of course, of Bacon's close friend, John Edwards. Over 150 photographs of Edwards were found in Bacon's studio, far greater than anyone else, attesting to the closeness of their friendship. It's here for you up on the easel. Thank you very much indeed. And we're starting at 3,100,000, 3,200,000, 3,300,000, 3,400,000, at 3,400,000 pounds. At 3,400,000. 3,500,000 with Alex Branchik at 3,500,000. At 3,500,000 on this side here at 3,500,000. Thank you, Alex, at 3,500,000. At 3,500,000 and against the rope. Still with you, Alex, at 3,500,000. Anyone else at 3,500,000? With Alex Branchik, Chairman of Impressionist and Modern Contemporary Art in Asia, at 3,500,000. It's your bid, sir. You're taking it home at 3,500,000. Last chance at 3,500,000. Thank you, Alex. Paddle number 30. Thank you very much indeed. And 112 is the Baselitz, just coming up here. There it is. Sorry, 112 is withdrawn, in fact. No lot. OK, no lot, sorry. At least somebody's paying attention. Thank you very much. And lot number 113, then, is what we move on to. Your Baselitz, the Untitled Baum Tree, one of a small number of works depicting solitary trees, of course, this great early painting. And we're going to start here at 700,000 pounds, at 700,000, 750,000, 800,000, 850,000, at 850,000, 900,000 now, 950,000, 1 million pounds now with David at 1 million. David Galperin's bid at 1 million pounds. On my right here at 1 million pounds. Your bid, sir, at 1 million. At 1 million pounds still. With David, I can sell it at 1 million pounds. Against the room now, 1 million pounds. Still with you, David. I'm going to sell at 1 million. Any more? Fair warning now. And selling. Last chance at 1 million pounds. Thank you, David. It's paddle 20. And 114, moving on, of course, is The Canvas by Philip Guston. Currently the subject of a major travelling retrospective, which has arrived here in London, of course, very timely, showing at Tate Modern the wonderful exhibition of Philip Guston, this great American post-war master. And I'm delighted. I'm going to start here at £1,500,000, or £1,500,000, £1,600,000, at £1,600,000, £1,700,000, at £1,700,000, £1,800,000, at £1,800,000, £1,900,000. £2 million. Thank you. 2 million. Give me 2,200,000. 2,200,000 on my right here at 2,200,000. With Brooke at £2,200,000. Here on my right with Brooke Lampley at 2,200,000, 2,400,000, 2,500,000 now, at £2,500,000. With you, Brooke, at 2,500,000. Thank you very much, at 2,500,000. Give me another one, Alex, at 2,500,000. At 2,500,000. It's here on this side at 2,500,000. Brooke's bidder at 2,500,000. Come in again, Alex, at 2,500,000. It's a lady's bid at 2,500,000. Still here. Brooke's bidder at 2,500,000. I'm looking for another one, sir, from you, please, at 2,500,000. At 2,500,000. Sure. At 2,500,000. It's Brooke's bidder here. I'm going to sell at 2,500,000. It's the lady's bid, Alex, at 2,500,000. Fair warning to you. It's going to sell over here. Thank you, Brooke, at 2,500,000. Thank you. It's panel number 28 at 2,500,000. And lot number 115 is the Sean Scully. It's sold as viewed. And this is the Landline Darkest, part of a series which was exhibited to great acclaim, of course, alongside the 56th Venice Biennale. The wonderful Scully. Great to have a Scully back in the evening sale. And I'm starting here at 400,000, 450,000, 500,000, 550,000 pounds, 550,000. At 550,000 pounds, 600,000. Thank you, Haley. It's 600,000. Your bid to kick us off at 600,000. It's against your order, 600,000. It's Haley's bidder. Selling it here at 600,000. Thank you, Haley. 650,000. 700,000. Thank you, sir. It's 700,000 against you in two places in the room here at 700,000 pounds. Gentlemen seated at 700,000. Give me 50, either of you. It's 700,000. It's your bid, sir. At 700,000. Is that a bid at the back? At 700,000. At 700,000, just a stretch. At 700,000, speed along we. 750,000. Thank you, Marina. It's 750. Try 8, sir. At 750,000. Here it is. It's 750. Try 8, sir. At 750,000 pounds. At 750. So with Marina, it's 750. It's against you. Haley, it's against you, sir, in the room. At 750. Back with Marina, it's 750,000. I'm going to sell here at 750. Last chance. And selling at 750,000 pounds. Thank you, Marina. Panel number 4 at 750. Lot number 116 has been withdrawn, so we move straight on to lot number 117, the Donald Judd. One of the most iconic and monumental examples of Donald Judd's progression sculptures created between 1964 and the early 1970s. Sold as viewed. Thank you very much indeed. And we're starting here at 600,000, 650,000, 700,000, 750,000 pounds, 750. At 750,000. Anyone else? 750,000 pounds. 800,000 with David Rothschild at 800,000 pounds. Here it is at 800,000 pounds. I'm selling it to David at 800,000. Thank you, David. It's at 800,000. Good evening, sir. At 800,000 pounds. It's your bid at 800,000 pounds. You want a bid at 800,000 pounds. Here it is at 800,000. It's on the telephone. It's David's bid, and I'm selling it here. You bidding, madam? 800,000 pounds. There it is, 800,000 pounds. Want to say 50? At 800,000. Thank you, David. It's selling to you at 800,000. Fair warning now. And selling for 800,000 pounds. Thank you, David. Panel number 22 at 800,000 pounds. Lot number 118 has been withdrawn, so we move on to, and so has number 119. So we move on to lot number 120. Sold as viewed. Thank you very much indeed. The Glen Ligon this time is standing right at the back of the room. If you're that way inclined in the room, orientated. And so we're going to start the bidding here. This one, the Glen Ligon Stranger number 71, which uses a passage from the 1953 James Baldwin essay to address issues of identity, race and colonialism. And we're going to start the bidding here at 480,000, 500,000, 520,000 now at 520,000, at 520,000, 550,000. At 550,000 pounds. At 550,000. Lisa, we're coming in at 550,000 pounds. At 550,000. You want a bid? 550. At 550,000 for the Ligon at 550,000. Fair warning. Last chance at 550,000 pounds. Not sold at 550. And lot number 121, the Way Guyton, is here from 2006, the year in which he began constructing compositions using no more than a linen canvas, an inkjet printer, and the letter X, of course. Sold as viewed. Thank you very much indeed. And we're starting here at 300,000, 320,000, 350,000, at 350,000, 380,000, at 380,000, 400,000. David Gowprince bidder at 400,000. Thank you, David. On this side at 400,000, selling to you at the moment at 400,000 pounds. At 400,000. Still with David at 400,000 pounds. At 400,000. You're bidding, madam, at 400,000. Here it is. David's bidder at 400,000. Selling it here. Last chance at 400,000 pounds. Thank you, David. It's panel number 16 at 400,000. And 122 is the Joseph Albers, the homage to the square polar. Sold as viewed. Thank you. And I want to start the bidding here at 420,000, 450,000, 480,000 now, at 480,000 pounds, at 500,000, at 500,000, 520,000, at 520,000, 525,000. Thank you, James. I'll take that at 525,000. It's your bid at 525,000 pounds. Selling here, 525,000 pounds with James Sevier. 525,000. I'm selling it here. Are you bidding, sir? At 525 on this side. Last chance to you all at 525,000 pounds. Selling to the gentleman here. Are you coming in, Lucius? Or how about in the room, sir? At 525,000 pounds. It's selling here with James Sevier on the telephone. Is that a bid? At 525,000 pounds. You want a bid, sir? 530,000. It's in a new place. At 530,000. Give me 5. 535,000. At 535. Lucius. 540,000. At 540. Gentleman here at 540,000 pounds. 545,000. Thank you, Lucius. 550, yeah? You're taking 550? Thank you. Here at 550,000 with my colleague Lucius, sir. Against you in the room at 550. Will you give me 60, please? At 550,000 pounds. Say 60. 560 on this side. Thank you, James. And against you, Lucius, at 560,000. You texting your client, Lucius. Fair enough. Okay. Whatever makes it happen at 560,000. James Sevier's bidder at 570 now. It's back in the room again at 570,000. Give me 80. 570. At 570,000 pounds. James, against you now. 570,000. Gentleman's bid here at 570. 580,000. 580. 580,000, sir. 580,000 pounds. Give me 90. Here at 580,000 behind me here. James Sevier's bid. It's against you, Lucius, too. You texting still? No, you out? Okay. Thank you anyway. It's James's bidder here at 580. It's against you here, sir. At 580. And the hammer's going to come up soon at 580,000. Do you want to say 90? It's here again at 580,000. 590 is bid. At 590,000. James. This gentleman's bid here, 590,000. You sure? It's in the room at 590,000. With you, sir, and I'm going to sell it. Come in, James. Is that it? 590,000. It's back with you, sir, at 590. Fair warning, I'm going to sell at 590,000 pounds. Sold to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed at 590,000. Do you have a paddle, sir, please? You don't have a... We'll find you one. Don't worry. Yep, not a problem at all, sir. We'll get you a paddle. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Congratulations. Lot number 123 is the Sigma polka. The misdirected, which embodies polka's skill in juxtaposing the figurative with the abstract, of course. Again, is sold as viewed. Thank you very much indeed. And I'm going to start the bidding here at 500,000 pounds, at 500,000, 550,000, 600,000 now, 650,000, 700,000 with David Schrader, 750,000 now with Tom Edison at 750. And against the pair of you, at 750,000 is Tom Edison's bidder at 750,000. At 750,000. It's against you, David, at 750. It's still with Tom, and I'm selling it, of course, at 750,000. Where's the bid, Antonio, at 750? 800,000 is with Marina at 800,000. Thank you very much at 800,000 pounds. Tom, give me 50. Marina's bidder on this side now at 800,000 pounds. 850. Marina. I'm going to give me 900. At 900,000 pounds. Thank you. At 900,000. I'm looking for 50 from you, sir. At 900,000. 920,000. 920. 920,000. Still there with Tom at 920,000 pounds. Marina, against you here. It's at 920,000. I'm going to sell at 950,000. Thank you. At 950. At 950,000. Is that it, Tom? Last chance? You're out at 950,000. Marina's bidder. I'm going to sell it at 950,000 pounds. Fair warning, Tom. No, next bid's 980. Give me 80. We're going in those increments. 950,000. There it is at 950,000. Say 80. At 950,000 pounds, Tom. You out? 980,000. Marina. Want to give me $1 million? £1 million. At 1 million. At 1 million. I'll take 50 at this stage, Tom. No? At £1 million is with Marina and selling finally at £1 million. Thank you, Marina. Paddle number 4. 124 is next, the Kippenberger, Soldier's View. Thank you very much, the Untitled. The lampshade here, there it is. And I'm starting the bid at £300,000, at 300,000, 320,000, 350,000 now at 350. At 350,000, 380,000 pounds, at 380. At 380,000. At 380,000 pounds. Bidding, sir, at 380,000. At 380,000. Any more? At 380,000 pounds. At 380,000. At 380. Want a bid? At 380,000. Give me a bid at 380. 390,000. Thank you. It's in the room at 390,000. Your bid at 390,000 pounds. I'm going to sell it here at 390. It's in the room and a selling bid at 390,000 pounds. Fair warning. It's your bid, sir. At 390,000. Last chance at 390,000 pounds. Thank you. 390. 934. Thank you very much indeed, sir. 125 has been withdrawn, so we move on to lot number 126. Soldier's View. Thank you. Another work from A Long Journey, a selection from the Li Yukan and Wang Wei collection. This time Michelle Burman's The Shaker, monumental in scale, fully showcasing Burman's technically dazzling painting, of course. And I'm starting here at 250,000, 280,000, 300,000, 320,000 now, 320, 350,000. Students bid at 350,000 on this side. Thank you, at 350,000. It's a selling bid at 350,000. On this side, 350. At 350,000 pounds. Students, your bid at 350 and selling to you. Fair warning. Thank you very much at 350,000 pounds. Thank you. It's paddle number 8. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Number 127 has been withdrawn. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we bring tonight's proceedings to a close. It's been a very, very busy week, an exciting week here in London, but we hope very much that you'll be able to join us again tomorrow for our Contemporary Day sale at 1 p.m, the final auction of our free sale series, as well as our Paris Modernity sale on the 19th of October and our New York Marquise sales, kicking off on the 8th of November with the Emily Fisher-Landau collection. I wish you a very good evening. Good night.